The people who are succeeding financially are not doing better than you, they're not earning more than you, they just know how to manage their money better than you. And that is why in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I manage my money and I'm able to invest every single month with the salary that I get to pay myself. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Gloria and let's get to it. The very first thing I usually do when I sit down every single month is I do my financial monthly audit. And these are the three key areas that I usually check my finances in order for me to know that I am actually in line with the financial goals I am having for that particular month as well as that particular year. Because remember, I'm not just managing my personal finance, I'm also managing money that helps me run the business that I actually have. And the first thing that I usually audit on is what were the financial goals that I had that particular month. So I will have to sit down and analyze and see what exactly did I want to achieve financially in that particular month and how much did I actually contribute towards achieving that particular goal. Because of course it's very, very essential for me to learn where my money is going and where my priorities are financially so that I can be able to readjust and figure out where I'm going wrong and where I need to change. The second thing that I usually look at is where I actually spent my money, honestly. So I do have a tracker which we are going to discuss more in detail in as the video proceeds, and I will sit down and I will ask myself, where exactly did my money go? And the one thing that I never fail to see is my transaction cost, because I think a lot of us just assume that transaction costs are minute charges, but when you do add them up, they actually become substantial amount that you could have done something else with your money, and it will help you change the behaviors you have around how you actually access and spend your money. And then the third thing that I would audit are the priorities that arose without me necessarily planning for them. Honestly, they are unexpected emergencies that arose that particular month. Now, a lot of us know that we are adults, and adulting is not easy because a lot of the times you will find that you are finding yourself in a situation that you hadn't anticipated, and therefore you end up spending more money than you actually planned to spend that particular month. So for me, I must audit and see, did I have these unexpected priorities that arose during that particular month that I was spending my money, and how much did I actually spend in those particular priorities that arose that I hadn't prepared for? Because I will have to sit down and figure out how much I spent. If I have gone over budget, I've gone over budget by how much, and how can I actually ensure that I adequately prepare for these particular emergencies so that I don't set myself aback financially and I can be able to continue hitting the financial goals that I had planned to achieve that particular month the following month. The second step of my financial management process is I actually plan my budget. Now, a lot of us might not be fans of budgeting, but I actually do love budgeting for my money because I love telling my money where to go. And essentially, budgeting has helped me build the discipline of knowing exactly where my money is going and how I get to spend my money. And in my budgeting process, I actually use two budgeting rules. And the first budgeting rule that I use is the zero-sum budget. Now, the zero-sum budget, for those of us who don't know, is whereby you give every single shilling you have a job to do. So every single piece of coins that you have in your bank account or even in your possession, it has a job to do. And then the second budgeting rule that I usually use is the 50-30-20 rule, which in this particular case, 50% goes to my needs, 30% goes to my wants, and then 20% goes to my savings. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, why are these two budgeting rules working for me? It's because I tried one of them and it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to work out. So I decided to couple up these two budgeting methods so that I can be able to allocate my money well. And then the second thing, I can be able to be accountable for the way I spend my money. Now, if you're someone like me who has both a business and you're also doing your own personal finances, I do advise you sit down and you figure out which budgeting methods are actually going to work for you. Because for me, I got to adopt the zero-sum budget because of my business. I have to give my money I have to give every single shilling that I earn in my business a job to do, because I also have to be liable for taxes. But for you, you can assess and see what works out for you well and adopt that budgeting rule into the way you actually plan your money and how you budget to spend the money that you get to earn every single month. The third step of how I manage my money is that I have a payday routine. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, what does a person who's running their own business mean by a payday routine? Well, that's just essentially a day where I get to sit down and make sense of my finances, as well as reconcile what I did with the money that I had the previous month, so that when I'm starting a new budget, when I am starting a new month, I am able to start on a clean slate of my financial status, because I've already done the work to consolidate and reconcile all the finances I used the previous month. And so for my payday routine, the first thing that I usually do is I actually transfer the amount of money that I'm going to be spending that particular month to my current account. Now, I do have a business bank account and I also have a personal bank account. So the first thing that I usually do every single time I sit down to do my payday routine is I transfer the budget that I am supposed to spend for the next month on that particular day, the entire amount, because I do allocate a specific amount of money that I will use to both run my business, pay my business expenses, as well as pay for my personal lifestyle, because I do depend on my business to do all these things. Therefore, I need to ensure that I stick to a strict budget every single month so that I don't interfere with the way I'll spend the money the following month. And then the second thing that I do is I actually separate which amount of money is going towards my personal expenses and which money is going towards my business expenses, because these two expenditures are different. Now, for me, I have several bank accounts. So what I usually do is, for my personal expenditure, or the personal amount of money I'm going to be using that month, I transfer it to my third account, which is my personal now spending account, where I do all the personal spending on, and then I keep the amount of money that I will use in my business in my second bank account, which is my current account. Now, the reason why I actually do that is because my current account actually hosts or pays off automatically all the subscriptions that I have for my business. And I have a lot of subscriptions to run an online business. So I make sure I separate both these monies so that I can be able to ensure that there's no confusion around which money goes where when it comes to my business and my personal finances. And then the third thing that I usually do is that I create a spending checklist. Now, this is uncommon advice. I don't think people actually create spending checklists. That's just something I do. But I create this particular checklist so that I can be able to see where my money is also going visually. Now, if you've listened to most of my videos, I usually sing about me being a visual learner. I'm someone who really understands and grasps a lot of content and a lot of data visually. So I also do that for my finances, because in order for me to be able to be accountable enough to pinpoint where every single shilling that's leaving my pocket is going, I have to also have a checklist so that I can be able to see, did my money go into savings? Did my money go into investments? Or did I just spend my money haphazardly because I didn't really have a plan? So in order for me to do that, I need to create a checklist for that particular month, and I also need to list the priorities, and that's where the spending checklist comes in, and I can be able to see now where I will be spending my money, or the plan of which I will spend my money that particular month. The next step is that I actually prepare the next month for my tracking app. Now, if you guys don't know, I usually use a money manager app, which allows me to track my expenditure to the day. Every single day, it gives me the ability to key in the amount of money that I've spent, during that particular day, and then it can be able to show me a chart at the end of the month with the data, the tracking, and all these things. Now for me, I love using apps because honestly my phone is easily accessible. I have it with me all the time. And then the second thing is that it actually allows me to key in the expenditure as well as the money that I've been able to send and receive during the day without the hassle of requiring internet access in order for me to record where my money is going. And if you guys don't know about this app, this is not a sponsored post, but I really do enjoy using this particular app. It's called My Money Manager. It's a piggy bank. I am going to share a screen sharing or a screen recording so that you guys can see how the app looks like. But that's the app that I usually use to key in my daily expenditure, and then I always ensure that I sit down, I look at my numbers because it does help me at the end of the month when I'm doing my reconciling, and I can be able to see where my money went throughout every single day of the month through the data that I will be able to collect and export at the end of every month in that particular app. And then the next step after this is I block out my calendar on specific days where I will do specific financial activities. Now for me, because I don't have the luxury of time, considering I'm working with clients and of course they're going to demand my time when we're working with projects with them, I don't have the luxury of time to do everything I want whenever I want. So I usually block out specific days for me to take care of certain financial responsibilities as well as other responsibilities that I'm not going to mention in this video because this is about money and we're talking about money. So what I usually do is I block out specific weekends for me to actually take or rather for me to actually complete specific financial activities. For example, the first weekend of every month for me is usually the month where I go and do my monthly housing expenditure shopping and all. So this is the time where I will note down what is missing in the house, restock on what is missing in the house. I will be able to also go and look at maybe the kitchen appliances I want to upgrade, probably the things that I want to buy for the house. I usually do that or run those errands the first weekend of every month. And then the second weekend of every month, this is my investment weekend. This weekend, I sit down and I make sure I make all the transfers that are necessary for my investments. Because for me, I do not really enjoy automating or even having a standing order for me to do my deposits because I am very disciplined with my money. So I am able to transfer the amount of money that I want to transfer in all the investment accounts that I usually have, as well as all the other obligations for savings that I usually have. And then the final weekend of every month, this is the day where I will sit down with my bank statements, my expenditure, my money app data sheets, and I can be able to reconcile how I spent my money that month. So these 3 weekends are usually ingrained in my calendar, and I have to sit down and I have to do these financial activities because I don't have all the time in the world to sit down and do this whenever, because I don't have the luxury of time. And then the next thing that I usually do in my financial management routine is I set up my next payday, because honestly, a girl's gotta get paid. I work so hard for my money, so I might as well have the next payday schedule out for me. Now for me, I usually interchange the days where I get to pay myself because it is my business. I set up the rules and all of that. I wish you guys become entrepreneurs so that you can always be saying that, because it feels so nice to say that. But I set up my next payday depending on how the cash flow has been that particular month. So I will sit down with my bank statements and I will check and see how can I sustainably pay myself without putting the business at risk, because of course when you're running a business you also need to have at least a float so that your business does not go up in shambles, okay? Because you need to also make sure that there is movement, operations are still running smoothly, and all that costs money. So what I usually do is I look at my finances first, I see how the cash flow has been that particular month, and then I can be able to set out when my next payday will be, because I need to be certain I am having a payday the following month if I also want to ensure that I keep running my business the way that I run it every single month. And then the other thing that I usually do for my financial management routine is I actually set up or decide what exactly I'm going to get for myself for that month, because I need to gift myself, guys. I love spending money on myself because I want to remind myself that I am the one who's making this money, and if I don't enjoy my money, who exactly is going to enjoy my money for me? Yeah. So what I usually do is I sit down and I decide what exactly do I want to gift myself that particular month. Is it going to be an outing? Is it going to be a perfume that I want? Is it going to be maybe some new jewelry that I need? I get to decide exactly what that is, and then I go spend money on myself, because the most important thing that I read from the book Think and Grow Rich is that you need to be okay with spending money on yourself, honestly. Also, with the psychology of money, they do emphasize the point on spending money on yourself, because at the end of the day, you need to enjoy this money that you're making. And it also cultivates a very healthy relationship with the money that you're making. And so that is it with this particular YouTube video. I'm really hoping that you guys have learned something, a thing or two, from my financial management routine. If you have, then make sure to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I really would love to hear how you guys manage your money. So if you have any pointers that you would want to share with us, make sure to let us know in the comment section. But up to that point, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and as always, I will see you in the next one.